Hey guys, I'm Mark from Spot and welcome to week 36 of the Premier League review. If you want to know this series, what we do is take a look at the past set Premier League results, we take a look at the Premier League table and finish by looking at the top goal scorers. So here is the past set of Premier League results. These games were played on Friday the 5th, Saturday the 6th, Sunday the 7th, Monday the 8th and Wednesday the 10th of May 2017. The reason why this one is up on a Thursday is because of that match there, that piece of shit. For some reason the Premier League just decided, fuck it, let's have a random match on a Wednesday, bastards. And I didn't really feel like putting that into its own video, so I decided to hold off. We'll upload this one on Thursday and everything will work and we'll all go home happy. But anyway, next to the games are the times in this video, so if you want to hear about a specific game, just go to the time next to the match and you skip about all the other crap. But without further ado, let's get into our first match. We start with Manchester City versus Crystal Palace. It won't take long for one of these teams to open the scoring, as only 2 minutes into the match, Man City took the lead through David Silva. It came basically from kickoff as David Silva put the ball into the box himself. No one got on the end of it and a Palace defender, Martin Kelly, couldn't get rid of it far enough and it fell to the in-running David Silva, who was completely free to volley into the bottom corner. City were the better side for pretty much all of the first half, but they couldn't find that second goal to really put the pressure on Palace until 5 minutes into the second half when Vincent Kompany doubled the horse's lead. It came when Kevin De Bruyne laid the ball off and in came the captain, who smacked it into the top corner of the net. It came when De Bruyne had the ball out about 20 yards out from goal and he strikes the ball and it somehow goes into the net. Sorry Wayne Hennessy, you've had a mare there, you really should be saving them ones like. And Man City would just be adding to the misery in the 82nd minute when they added their fourth. It came when Yaya Toure gave the ball to Pablo Zabaleta, who then knocked the ball down for Raheem Sterling, who finished with a half volley past Wayne Hennessy. And City would add a fifth in the 91st minute when Nicolas Otamendi decided to get a goal. It came when Man City had a free kick and Kevin De Bruyne whipped the ball into the box, and on the end of it was the Argentine centre-back who headed into the net from close range. And that was how the game would end, and what else can I say? Man City absolutely dominated. As soon as Man City got that early goal, I think we all knew what was coming. It was going to be a bad day to be a Palace fan. But with this result, Man City jumped up to third with Liverpool still to play and Crystal Palace remained in 16th. And we move on to Chelsea versus Middlesbrough. Both teams went into this game with a huge reason to win. Chelsea wanted to win because of that Spurs result that we'll get onto later, and Middlesbrough needed to win because if they didn't, they'd be relegated. And as you'd expect, it was Chelsea who was pressuring Middlesbrough pretty much all of the opening quarter of this game, but as that phrase goes, pressure makes diamonds. But that phrase turned out to be bullshit, as then in the 23rd minute, Chelsea took the lead through Diego Costa. It came when Cesc Fabregas had the ball and he chipped the ball over the top of the defence, and on the end of it was his fellow Spaniard Diego Costa, who tapped it through the legs of Brad Guzan. And Chelsea would double their lead 10 minutes later when Marcos Alonso made it 2-0. It was pretty much the exact same as last time, as the ball is put over the top, this time from Cesar Azpilicueta, who put the ball in, and in came Alonso, who struck the shot and it went through the legs of Brad Guzan again. And Chelsea would put the game to bed in the 64th minute when they added their third through Nemanja Matic. It came when Cesc Fabregas chipped the ball over the top of the Middlesbrough defence again, and on the end of this one was Nemanja Matic, who chested the ball down and finished as the ball went through the legs of Brad Guzan again. And that is how the game would end. A big result at the top and the bottom of the league. This win means all Chelsea need to do is win at West Brom and they are crowned Premier League champions, and this loss means Middlesbrough are relegated for the 4th time in their history. This is a record equalling number, as it's them, Crystal Palace, Norwich and Sunderland who hold that not wanted record. But Chelsea completely deserved the win. If you look at the stats, it was a fucking whitewash. Middlesbrough barely got near the Chelsea box, to the point where Thibaut Courtois could have stayed at home and the result would have been the same. But this result meant Chelsea went 7 points clear at the top of the table, leaving them needing one more win, and Middlesbrough became the second team officially relegated, with them down in 19th. And we move on to Leicester versus Watford. Leicester took the lead in this one in the 40th minute through Wilfred Ndidi. It came when Mark Albrighton played a corner shot to Danny Drinkwater. Drinkwater's cross spreads panic throughout the Watford defenders, as Watford defender Sebastian Prodl accidentally flicks the ball on with his head, and then it ended up being a perfect pass as it fell to Wilfred Ndidi, who smashed into the net from close range. And Leicester doubled their lead in the 60th minute when last year's Premier League Player of the Year Riyad Mahrez got on the score sheet. It was basically a typical Leicester goal, as the ball is punted forward from defence, is flicked on by Jamie Vardy, and that set Mahrez through. Mahrez then made his way towards goal and put the ball through the legs of Aurelio Gomez and into the back of the net. A lot of keepers got nutmegged this week for some reason. And Leicester will put the game beyond any doubt in the 90th minute when Mark Albrighton got their third. It was a simple goal, as it was Jamie Vardy yet again assisting as he put a great pass to Albrighton, who then simply put the ball home. And that's how the game would end, a big win in the relegation battle, as if either of these teams won, then they would be mathematically safe. so that means Leicester are safe. Not the season they hoped for after last year, but hell, at least you're not going down. But as for Watford, it's still not 100%, so they need to buck their ideas up and pick up a win before it's too late. And with this result, Leicester stayed in 9th and Watford remained in 15th. And we move on to Burnley versus West Brom. It was a very boring first half with only one shot on target in the entire half. Luckily, that wouldn't be the case in the second half as the game sprung to life. It started in the 55th minute when Burnley took the lead through Sam Vokes. It came when Ashley Barnes did some great work on the ball before feeding the ball through to Sam Vokes, who tapped in from inside the 6-yard box. But West Brom equalised the scoring 10 minutes later through Solomon Rondon. It came when a corner is put into the box and the initial header from Craig Dawson hits the bar, but the ball falls to Rondon, who was able to turn in the box and put the ball home. And West Brom would take the lead in the 77th minute. It came yet again from a corner, but this time it was the man who hit the header of the last one, as Craig Dawson meets it with a diving header and the ball bounces in via the post. But Burnley would level the scoring in the 85th minute when Sam Vokes got his and Burnley's second. It was a moment of madness for Ben Foster as a cross is put into the box and there are a ton of West Brom defenders around Sam Vokes, but Ben Foster decided to go walkabouts and he was going to come out and parry it away, but he gets caught in no man's land as Sam Vokes heads into the empty net. And that's how the game would end. A great second half of football compared to the first. A win in this match would have secured Burnley safety for the season, but they're going to have to wait another week. As for West Brom, they'll just be happy they scored, as this was their first goals that they've scored in 5 games. But with this result, West Brom are in 8th, Burnley are in 14th. And we move on to Bournemouth versus Stoke. Stoke were knocking on the door for most of the first half, but it would take them until the 36th minute for them to take the lead, and even then, it wasn't one of their own players who scored, as it was Bournemouth's own Lys Mousset who put the ball into his own net. Hey, that rhymed a little bit. It came when a free kick is put into the box by Xherdan Shaqiri, and it was Jeff Cameron and Mousset going for the ball, but it was Mousset who inadvertently converted the ball under the pressure. To be fair to him, it was a solid header. But Bournemouth equalised in the 60th minute when Junior Stanislas put the horse level. It came when Adam Smith ran down the right wing and then put a low cross into the box. Joshua King looked like he was going to hit it, but he left it and let it run between his legs, and behind him was Stanislas who swept the ball home. But Stoke would retake the lead 10 minutes later through Mame Biram Diouf. It came when Jeff Cameron looped across into the box and Marko Arnautovic jumped for the ball under pressure from 2 Bournemouth defenders. He can't get a good enough contact on it, but luckily it fell to Diouf, who slotted him from 5 yards out for his first goal for a year. But a couple of minutes later, Bournemouth will level up the scoring again. It came when yet again Adam Smith causes danger for the Stoke defenders as he puts in another cross from the right wing, and from here it all gets confusing. Max Gradle headed the ball, it came off of the outside of Joshua King's boot and made its way into the net via Ryan Shawcross. And that's how the game would end. Both teams are now officially safe from relegation. A point was enough for both teams to stay up following the whole result. I'd say Stoke deserve the full 3 points as they were the better side, and something that I didn't mention, Joshua King was in an offside position for Bournemouth's second goal. But anyway, with this result, Bournemouth are in 10th and Stoke are in 13th. And we move on to Arsenal versus Manchester United. It was a pretty dire first half and Arsenal should have really been ahead, but they weren't thanks to 2 world-class saves from David De Gea. But Arsenal would find the net 10 minutes into the second half when Granit Xhaka got the goal. It came when he had the ball outside the box, and from his past games, we all know he can bang him, so that's exactly what he did when he unleashed the shot. It took a huge deflection off of the back of Ander Herrera and looped into the net. And Arsenal doubled their lead 3 minutes later through Danny Welbeck. It came when Aaron Ramsey gave it to Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and he put a hanging cross into the box, and on the end of it was Welbeck who headed in via the underside of the bar to grab a goal against his former club. And that's how the game would end, and yet again, Jose making excuses and even went to say that Arsenal weren't better than United in any way. Well mate, if you've watched this series, you know that I think Jose Mourinho's arse must be jealous of his mouth with the amount of shit he chats. It's just embarrassing. Just admit that you were the worst team and deservedly lost. And yeah, Arsenal did deserve the win. Nothing else. Twat. And with this result, Manchester United stayed in 5th and Arsenal reduced the gap on them to 2 points with them in 6th. But they do have another game this week.
And we move on to Southampton versus Arsenal. The first half of this game was pretty boring. Nothing really happened, but Arsenal would take the lead in the 60th minute when Alexis Sanchez got his 20th league goal of the season. It was Mesut Ozil who gave the ball to Sanchez, who then twists and turns his way around the Southampton defence before slotting the ball past Fraser Forster. And Arsenal doubled their lead in the 83rd minute through super sub Olivier Giroud. It was a typical Giroud goal as Alexis Sanchez put a cross into the box to Aaron Ramsey. The Welsh international then scooped it back up in the air, and on the end of it with his head was Giroud, who simply nodded home. And that's how the game would end, and Arsenal deserved the win. They had more possession, but near the dying end of the game Southampton were pressuring, but that Giroud goal pretty much killed them. And with this result, Southampton are still in 10th and Arsenal moved up to 5th as they sent Manchester United back down to 6th. And we move on to Hull versus Sunderland. Not many people saw this one coming, as in the 70th minute, already relegated Sunderland took the lead through Billy Jones. It came when a Sunderland corner is whipped in from George Honeyman, and it was flicked on at the near post by John O'Shea. The ball is perfect for Billy Jones, who powers the ball home with a diving header. And Sunderland would finish the game high as they doubled their lead in the 90th minute through Jermaine Defoe. It came when a ball is put into the box, and it is about knee height for Defoe, who doesn't shoot. He instead just lets the ball bounce off of him, and that sends the ball into the back of the net. And that's how the game would end, and that could be a big result come end of the season, as this result opened the door for Swansea, as if they won against Everton, they would jump out of the relegation zone and send Hull into it. Hull had some decent chances, but they were brilliantly saved by Sunderland keeper Jordan Pickford, who I can't see staying at Sunderland next season. But anyway, with this result, Sunderland stayed on the bottom of the table and Hull stayed in 17th with Swansea still to play. And we move on to the game that has probably decided the title, West Ham versus Tottenham. Going into this match, everyone would have thought that it would have been a typical Spurs display, with them going into it, dominating and coming away with a 4-0 win at the end of it. But it was a different story when they visited the London Stadium on Friday night, as Tottenham looked completely different. They were sloppy with the ball and didn't look like the team that was pressuring Chelsea. And this sloppy display would cost them, as in the 65th minute West Ham took the lead through Manuel Lanzini. It came when Aaron Cresswell put a cross into the box that isn't dealt with by the Tottenham defence, and it fell to Andrea Ayew, who couldn't control it, but the ball falls loose to Manuel Lanzini on the edge of the 6-yard box, who smashed it into the net. And that's how the game would end, and probably that is how the Premier League title race ends. I can't see Chelsea dropping points in any of their upcoming games, and without that pressure from Tottenham, they're free to run off with it now. I would say that West Ham probably deserved the win, as they look like they wanted it more than the Tottenham players, as the Spurs players just looked like they really couldn't be arsed. But anyway, fair play to West Ham, and with this result, West Ham moved to 11th and Tottenham stayed in 2nd. And we move on to Swansea versus Everton. Swansea picked up a huge goal in the 28th minute when they took the lead through Fernando Llorente. It came when Jordan Ayew made some space on the right hand side before making his way past Gareth Barry. He then crossed the ball into the box, and on the end of it was Fernando Llorente, who outjumped Phil Jagielka and headed into the net. And that is how the game would end, and it was a pretty boring game, to be honest with you. A big win for Swansea and a decent win as well, as throughout the second half Everton were applying the pressure. Swansea defended like their lives depended on it. And with this result, Everton stayed in 7th and Swansea jumped out of the relegation zone and are now in 17th. And finally, we've got Liverpool versus Southampton. What a boring game this was. Hardly any clear-cut chances for either team. The only real bit of excitement came in the 64th minute when Liverpool were awarded a penalty. It came when Jack Stevens handballed it in the area and the ref pointed to the spot. James Milner stepped up to take it, but his penalty is brilliantly saved by Fraser Forster, and this penalty was the first one that James Milner has missed since 2009. And that is how the game would end. There's really nothing else for me to add. For me, this is the game that's cost Liverpool top 4. We needed to win after that City win, but now with this, we're only 1 point ahead of City, and City have that crucial game in hand. And with this draw, Liverpool move back up to 3rd, but I can't see that lasting very long, and Southampton are in 10th. Right, so that's all I've got for you this week. Before we go, let's take a look at the Premier League table and top goal scorers. Starting off with the Premier League table. Start with the top 5, and as you can see, Chelsea are at the top of the table, 4 points clear, needing only 1 win to clinch the title. Tottenham are 2nd after losing to West Ham. Liverpool are in 3rd, but I don't think that'll last very long, as they are only 1 point clear of 4th place Manchester City, who have that game in hand. And making up the top 5 is Arsenal, following their 2 wins this week. Moving on to the bottom 5, and Sunderland are at the bottom. Middlesbrough are 19th after being the next team officially relegated, this time at the hands of Chelsea. Hull moved into the relegation zone after they'd lost to Sunderland. Swansea moved out of the relegation zone in 17th after beating Everton. And Crystal Palace make up the bottom 5 after being smashed by Manchester City. Moving on to the top goal scorers, and as you can see, Romelu Lukaku is on top despite not scoring this week. He's on 24 goals and 6 assists. Harry Kane is 2nd on 21 goals and 6 assists. Alexis Sanchez is 3rd after getting a goal against Southampton that took him up to 20 goals and 9 assists. Diego Costa is 4th, also on 20 goals but on 6 assists. And making up the top 5 is Sergio Aguero on 18 goals and 1 assist. Right, so that's all I've got for you this week. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be back next Tuesday for the next episode of the Premier League Review. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can. The link is in the description, or it's at @portionofsport_. If you want to follow me on Twitter or subscribe to my personal YouTube channel, you can. The links to those are in the description as well. All my channels should be popping onto your screen round about now. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. I've been Mark from A Portion of Sport, and I'll see you soon.